Hello, I am the ancient Egyptian god Anubis, and today I'm going to show you how to mummify an apple, embalm it, and make this beautiful sarcophagus to put your mummified apple in. Follow me on this ancient Egyptian journey.
You will need salt, sodium bicarbonate, an apple, a container with a lid, white vinegar, and a knife.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is cut part of our apple off. So I'm going to slice down and cut a face off our apple. And it's a really juicy apple. You can see it's very juicy there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger in a bit of this vinegar and I'm going to clean my apple. My hands are already clean. I've used hand sanitizer. And the reason I'm doing this is because ancient Egyptians used to do this too. If they were mummifying a creature or a body, they would wash it in something called palm wine. And what it does is it kills all the germs and it prepares the body for mummification. I'm going to carve 2 eyes and a mouth on our apple. There's one eye. And do the other eye here. And now I'm going to do a slice across here and there. I don't know if you can see, but it is a really super juicy apple in there. So juicy. So I'm now going to take my vinegar, or palm wine if you want to call it that, and I'm going to make sure I get it into all those cracks and crevices. When ancient Egyptians mummified a body, they would actually take out all the inside organs of the body and they would put them in special jars. And the organ that they would leave in was the heart. So they'd pull out the brain, they'd pull out the liver and all the other organs, and they would leave in the heart of the person, because they believed that the heart of a person or any creature was the most important part of their body. The next thing we're going to do is prepare the mummification salts. So in ancient Egypt they had a special kind of salt which was called natrum, and that salt was perfect for mummification. Also, the hot weather in ancient Egypt was brilliant for quickly mummifying bodies. So I'm going to pour some salt in my container. I'm going to take Mr. Apple and I'm going to put him inside. I'm going to rub him around a bit to make sure the salt gets underneath him. And now I'm going to pop a little bit of sodium bicarbonate in. The ancient Egyptians didn't have sodium bicarbonate, but natrum salt, which is the salt they use, had something similar inside it already. And basically what it does is it just prevents any smell from happening. So I put some of that in. I'm going to now put more salt in. When ancient Egyptians mummified creatures like crocodiles, cats, people, they would also have other things to put in, like waxes, animal fat, spices, herbs. But we're just going to go with the plain old salt and sodium bicarbonate. Now you can see Mr. Apple is entirely covered, which is exactly what we want. There's a little bit there where he's not quite fully covered. I'm going to put just a bit more to make sure he's totally covered. There we are. You could put some cinnamon in there, or you could put some lavender, just to be a bit more like ancient Egyptians, but I'm just going to leave it right like that. And I put the lid on now, and I'm going to leave that in the warmest, driest place I can find in my house. Here's an apple that I mummified about a week and a half ago, and I thought it would be the perfect time to show you the difference between the apple we just cut, Mr. Apple, and a piece of apple that's been mummifying for a week and a half. Now, I kept talking about Mr. Apple being really juicy. The salt that this apple has been soaking in, or sitting in, has sucked all the apple's juice out. It's sucked the liquid out and it's dried it. It might look discoloured, but it doesn't smell at all. It doesn't smell rotten or off. It's just dried out and preserved. So that gives you a really good comparison. These are the things you'll need to embalm your apple. But first I'm going to show you how to draw an amulet with a protective scarab beetle. So we're going to start with our beetle in the middle. Give him a curved head. Usually have a round bit on the top, and then we're going to do another curve like this. We're going to take it round and down the other side. Give a curved bit here. Often their scarab beetles had wings, because it was a symbol of kind of new life, and it linked to some of the gods and goddesses that were in charge of protecting you in the next life, in the afterlife. You can Google some images of these and do your own amazing drawings. I'm just going to do a quick, simple drawing here. The reason why they put these amulets on the body was to protect the body and make sure, they believed that if they put an amulet with a scarab beetle on the chest of the body, it would make sure that that person got safely to the afterlife. Because to ancient Egyptians, the afterlife was so important. It was one of the most important things for them, was to be able to get safely to the afterlife. There was also an amulet that they used to put on their heart, on the body's heart, because they believed that when you get to the afterlife, when you get asked lots of questions by all the gods saying, were you a good person? If you weren't a very good person, you did some naughty things in your life, your heart could tell the truth even if your lips were lying. So they would put an amulet over their heart to keep their heart quiet so it wouldn't tell any of the naughty things that they did in their lives. So that was another interesting reason why they put these amulets on the body. Ancient Egyptians had special colours that they felt were really important, and they all have like a special meaning, and they link to different gods and goddesses. So I'm using typical ancient Egyptian colours, and often each colour was a precious stone. So this blue was lapis lazuli, and the green was emerald, and the red was coral, And there was orange, that was carnelian, which is another precious stone. So they were all really made up of precious, precious stones. We're now going to embalm our apple. And all this is really is taking, bandaging, and carefully wrapping it around our apple. When ancient Egyptians did this, and actually even ancient Romans, they used to have really special patterns that they would use when they embalmed. But for us, we're going to keep it simple and just wrap it around our apple. And finally, we could always put a little bit of glue. They used to use resins and animal fat to stick theirs, but we'll use glue today. And the last thing we'll do then is add our protective scarab beetle over our apple to take him safely to the afterlife. I'm now going to show you how to make a beautiful sarcophagus for your mummified apple. A sarcophagus is a beautifully carved and decorated box that ancient Egyptians used to put their mummies in. So, the key is to start with A4 card and 7 centimeters. So the first thing we're going to do is measure 7 centimeters from the edge here. You can see there's 7. I'm going to make a little mark. We're making basically the net of a cube. I'm going to measure 7 centimeters this way. I'm going to try and find that same spot that I just measured. Can you see it here? I'm going to line it up, 7 centimeters, and there we are. Make a little cross. I'm going to do the same thing here. 7 centimeters, do a line, 7 centimeters. Can you see I'm lining the ruler up with the mark I just made? Now I'm going to measure 7 centimeters, which is actually here. And there, I've got my 2 crosses. I'm going to ignore that one. The next thing I'm going to do is go down a bit further and measure 7 centimeters here. And maybe one much further down here. So I've got 7 centimeters, 7 and 7. I can now draw that line. I've got 1 7 centimeter here. I'm going to draw a couple more dots there. Again, 7 centimeters. There we are. One more here. And then I can draw this line. So we've now got 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters, and 7 centimeters. We need 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes of 7 centimeters now. So let's get that. This is going to be our first one. I'm lining these up. I'm actually going to draw the full length of the paper for this one. So there's our first box. Let's measure the second box. 7 centimeters from this line. Put a dot. Let's go further up. 7 centimeters. Put a dot. Now let's join them. Again, I'm going to join all the way up and down. Let me check that. Is that 7? Yes, that's 7 centimeters. Good. We've got 1 box, 2 box. We need 2 more here. Those ones are perfect where they are. 7 centimeters. 7 centimeters. There's almost our final box. We need 1 more now. 7 centimeters. 7 centimeters again. And we draw a line. There we are. This is the net for our cube, our box. But we need to remember to do some tabs. So you can draw tabs like this. These help you to put the box together. We'll turn this into a tab for the lid. Draw a tab here and a tab here. Hopefully we've got enough tabs to put our box together. I might just do a tab there in case we need any more. Okay, you now need to cut this out. So once you've cut your net out, the easiest way to fold it is actually to put a ruler against the line and do this. So you're going to do this now for every flap and each of the cubes. Turn your box over and then on each of the sides that will be shown, you can draw whatever you like. You could look at ancient Egyptian sarcophagus pictures on the internet and get some ideas from there. I'll probably do a few scarab beetles and just some patterns. Before you get accepted into the afterlife, ancient Egyptians believed that there was a period of waiting where you got questioned by the gods, you had to prove that you were a good person, your heart got weighed on a special scale to see if your heart was lighter than a feather of truth. And so during that time, you were able to travel. Your soul took the form of something called a bar bird. And we're going to learn to draw that together. The bar bird is quite unusual because it has the face of a human, and the body of a bird. And if ancient Egyptians believed that if they drew a bar bird on the outside, so on the outside of the sarcophagus, it would then allow whoever's buried there to travel whenever they wanted. You could fly off, they believed, and visit wherever you wanted until you could get your body back when you were allowed to use it in the underworld. So when you got permission from the gods And they said, okay, you've been a good person, you can stay in the underworld, all right then, have your body. But while you were waiting for that to happen, you could travel as a barbird. Once your box is fully decorated, it's then time to glue all of the tabs like this. You might have to hold them for a little while so that they actually stick. You need to do that all the way around the box except for the lid. And now the final part of your ceremony. The placing of the mummified apple into the sarcophagus and the closing of the lid, sending our apple to the afterlife. I hope you enjoyed mummifying your apple and creating your sarcophagus and putting your embalmed apple happily off to visit the afterlife.